Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use.
So, she rushes out, finds the gift, and is even happier. She sends Shuya a message thanking him for remembering her and getting her the gift. Ya arrives at a friend's company, where she runs into Joe, who starts joking around with her. It's revealed that Joe is a partner in the company. The boss then calls both Joe and Ya to a meeting and tells Joe that Ya is there to fix a problem he caused that led to losses for the company. On another day, Shin goes to pick up her son from school and is surprised to find Ling there playing with him. When she approaches and asks him about it, he clears his throat and tells her that he can't stay away from his son anymore and tries to win her over. He asks her again if they can get back together, but she stays silent. Meanwhile, Shuya asks Yun out on a date, but she doesn't show up, leaving him frustrated. He ends up going out with his friends, feeling down, and later returns to the company to see Yun. In front of Shuya, Joe asks Yun to go out with him. Yun tries to use work as an excuse to refuse, but Joe insists. Shuya reluctantly agrees, not wanting to reveal his jealousy. When Joe and Yun go out, Joe confesses that he genuinely likes her and hasn't been able to think about anyone else since he first met her. However, Yun is still not interested and rejects him. Joe stays quiet but decides he won't give up. He tries to see her at work many times, but every time the employees tell him she's not there, just as she had instructed them to say. At the end of the week, Joe calls Yun while she's sleeping and tells her he forgot a notebook at the office and needs her to bring it to him because he has an important meeting. Yun rushes to the office to get it for him. But when she sees Joe, she realizes he tricked her just to see her. She gives him the notebook and tries to leave, but when he offers to take her out for pizza, she changes her mind because she loves pizza, so she agrees to go out with him. Later that night, Shuya takes Shin's son to drop him off at his mother's house, but he's shocked to see Ling with Shin. Shuya is furious, storms out of the car, and punches Ling in the face, telling him, "I warned you before. If you come near my sister again, you'll regret it." Shin is upset with Shuya and jumps to the wrong conclusion, saying, "So, it was you and Grandma who threatened him to stay away from me, right?" Shuya doesn't respond and leaves after warning Ling again to stay away from his sister. Shuya then meets Joe, feeling frustrated. Joe asks him if he's in love with Yoon, but Shuya denies it. However, Joe doesn't believe him. The next day, Shuya arrives at work, still upset, and Yoon finds out from an employee that Shuya is in a bad mood. Meanwhile, Joe arrives with a bouquet of flowers. Joe gives Yoon the flowers, but she barely acknowledges him and sits down, ignoring his gesture. Instead, she surprises Shuya with a gift and hands it to him. He thanks her, and it's clear that she's quite fond of him. Amy, the secretary, then takes Ya around the office, introducing her to the staff. Ya informs them that she'll be working on the new project that Yun is leading, and they warmly welcome her. Ya notices the gift on Yun's desk that Shuya brought from Japan and realizes that he has feelings for Yun. After work, Yun goes to the mall to run some errands and spots Shin's son playing at the arcade. She takes him to play for a while, and during their time together, the boy mentions that his father is back, which surprises Yun. Then Shin arrives with her husband, Ling. Yun is stunned when they take the child, noticing how close they seem, and realizes that Shin has left Cho. Another day, Cho sees Shin with Ling and gets upset. He approaches them, and a confrontation ensues. Shin tells Cho to leave and not to come near her again, and then she walks away with Ling, leaving Cho even more shocked and hurt. Later, as they get home, Ling notices that Shin seems sad and lost in thought. She tells him to leave and go home because she's tired and needs to rest, so he agrees and leaves. That night, Shuya goes out drinking with Joe, and they drink until Shuya passes out. Joe calls Yun and tells her what happened, urging her to come over. Worried, Yun rushes to help Shuya with Joe's assistance, and they manage to get him home. Afterward, Joe sits with Yun and explains why Shuya has been so stressed lately. He tells her that a long time ago, Shuya caught Ling cheating on his sister Shin and chased him down, leading to an accident. Shuya's grandmother settled the situation with Ling, but Ling demanded money, a car, and an apartment in exchange for agreeing to divorce Shin. Although Ling initially left, he has now returned, trying to get close to Shin again. The worst part is that Shin believes Shuya and his grandmother were the ones who drove Ling away back then, thinking they ruined her life. Meanwhile, Shin's son talks to his mother, saying he loves Cho and wishes he could play with them like he used to. Shin explains that it might not be possible because things have changed since his father returned. One night, Yun and Joe hang out, and Yun admits that she likes Shuya. Joe is pleased and shares that he's in love with Yun. They agree to help each other get closer to Shuya. Yun, Ya, and Shuya go for some training sessions to learn self-defense skills. Yun shows up to bring something to Shuya and ends up joining them in the training. Ya jokes, saying she's like Bruce Lee, but she ends up being terrible at it, making everyone laugh. After the training, Shuya picks up his nephew from school, and they spend some time together. The boy tells Shuya that he should make up with his mom so they can spend more time together. Shuya thinks about it and decides the boy is right. The next day, Shin takes her son to the amusement park with Ling. While there, she reminisces about the memories they shared when they used to come to the park together and how happy she felt. But now, as she walks with Ling, she realizes she's not as happy as she was with Cho. Later that night, Cho meets up with a friend whom he had asked to investigate Ling. When Cho asks what he found out, the friend reveals that Ling has racked up a lot of debt and can't pay it off, meaning he might end up in jail soon. Cho becomes furious, realizing that Ling has been getting close to Shin again for financial gain, hoping she would help him out of his situation. The next day, Ling takes Shin out and presents her with a ring, asking her to take him back. Just as she's about to respond, Yun and Jo arrive and warn her not to say yes, because there's a lot she doesn't know about Ling. They suggest she talk to Shuya first. Shin tells Ling that she wouldn't have agreed anyway because she's still in love with Cho, who was the only one there for her when she was suffering after Ling left. Cho overhears this and is deeply moved, realizing how much he means to her, and they reconcile. Shuya then takes Shin aside and tells her everything, including how he caught Ling cheating on her years ago, and how Ling blackmailed their grandmother, taking money, a car, and an apartment in exchange for leaving her alone. Shin is shocked by the truth. Meanwhile, Ling, realizing he's been exposed, decides to take their son from school and flee. When Shin and Shuya find out, they're terrified and immediately set out to stop him. Shuya talks to Shin, explaining that Ling has taken out many loans and is unable to repay them. He suggests that Ling might have kidnapped her son to blackmail her for money. Shuya continues to chase after Ling until he finally manages to stop him and rescue the child. The police arrive and arrest Ling, putting an end to the ordeal. Shuya then sits down with Yun for a while and explains why he never told his sister the truth about Ling back then. He admits that Ling was Shin's first love and he didn't want to hurt her. Yun is touched by Shuya's kindness and realizes how good-hearted he is. After everything is settled, Shuya drives Yun home. Before she gets out of the car, he tells her that everything that happened today is a secret, and she shouldn't tell anyone. Yun playfully responds, "Come on, your secret is safe with me. I'm the best secret keeper there is." And then she gets out of the car. Another day, Shin and Cho visit Shuya after deciding to get married and share the news with him. He's thrilled for them and congratulates them. They throw a party at Shin's place, where everyone gathers and enjoys a great time together. However, the celebration is cut short when they receive news that a game they had been working on has been stolen and is being sold in the market. Everyone is upset, and they rush to the company to find out what happened. Shuya is relieved when he discovers that the game wasn't actually stolen. It was part of a plan by Jo and Ya to quickly generate buzz and boost sales. The plan works, and everyone is happy as they go out to celebrate. The next day, Shin visits her grandmother, whom she had been estranged from for years, to apologize for misunderstanding her. Her grandmother is deeply moved and overjoyed as they mend their relationship. Later, Yun goes to Shin's bakery to learn how to make sweets from her. Shuya is completely captivated by Yun, his heart fluttering as he watches her. His sister notices and realizes just how much he loves Yun. After Yun leaves, Shin talks to Shuya and advises him to confess his feelings to Yun. She gives him some tips on how to win Yun's heart. But the next day, Shuya doesn't follow any of her advice. As soon as he sees Yun, he starts teasing her and gives her his jacket to take for dry cleaning. Yun, slightly annoyed, just says whatever and walks away. Ya, on the other hand, tries to get closer to Shuya by sending him a message inviting him to dinner. That night, she waits for him for a long time, but he never shows up. Feeling hurt, she eats alone and then leaves. Later, Shin sits with Shuya and asks him why he still hasn't confessed his love to Yun. He replies that he will tell her, but only when the time is right.